Welcome everyone. Today we have an amazing Falconer dive bomb build with over 3000 corruption. So before we do anything, let's have a look at the gameplays of over 3000 corruption against the boss and also through the echoes. So right away what you're gonna see is our friend here is gonna be shotgunning the shade. So have a look at the HP now and have a look in a moment. And it disappears. Yes, this is an amazing powerful Falconer build that deals tons of damage by stacking shadows, by stacking tons of bonus armor shredding, and deals tremendous damage, right? So it's really amazing against the boss. Now that we have the look at the boss, let's have a look at the demonstration of this build in terms of the echo rounds with over 3000 corruption. Now right away what you're gonna see is this build focused on throwing traps to lower the cooldowns of your falconry and also falcon skills. You'll be summoning shadows through your synchronized strike and you'll be casting your smoke bomb as a traversal skill. Now together with dive bomb that deals tremendous damage one-shotting almost everything, you can also deal consistent damage with your falconry. So you can see our friend spamming spells to lower the cooldowns of his spells, and this pretty much makes him untouchable with over 4000 HP. And yes, this is a mountain set endurance build, so that means you're gaining more endurance, more damage reduction, and also damage reduction over time against damage over time. Yes, this build is extremely tanky, very powerful, and quite speedy as you can see throughout the demonstrations. And that was one echo. So yes, a big thank you for Greenhill for sharing this one, and if you guys do want to learn more about this build, make sure you follow and also subscribe him onto YouTube to follow his latest update for the build. You can see he went from 2000 to 3000 corruption now. And here I also want to say a thank you for Shoutout for sharing this particular build with me. We do have a Discord channel for Last Epoch and also for Path of Exile. If you guys do have a cool build or a guide, make sure you share with us with YouTube suggestions. And after some time, once I had a look and also learn the build, I can be sharing the build with you guys and also with the community. So now that we had a look at the demonstration of the build and also its powers with high corruption, let's have a look at two different build sets. Now Greenhill has provided us with two different build sets. One is tailored towards defensiveness with over 3000 corruption to survive. The second one is focused on dealing more damage. You can see right away, there's only 1200 HP over here, and there's over 4000 HP over here. So together by adjusting your gears and also your setup for more damage to one-shot the boss, this build is very versatile. Should we want to focus on survivability or focus on high damage? Now in order to understand the build and also its mechanics, let's briefly go through the skills and also passives. So firstly with Explosive Trap. You'll be throwing Explosive Trap with lower mana cost and also multiple traps in order to lower your Falcon skill cooldowns. And this is very important, as you're gonna see in the skill rotations, we'll be throwing traps a lot. And higher throw attack speed will allow us to have lower cooldowns to deal more damage. Now in terms of Synchronized Strike, you'll be able to deal additional damage by summoning shadows. And this also allows us to have a defensiveness against damage over time. We'll be using Smoke Bomb as a traversal spell. As you're gonna see with the crafting or the experimental effects on the belt, we'll be lowering the traversal spell's cooldowns. You'll be summoning shadows and also removing debuffs onto yourself. And together with the bonus damage coming from Smoke Bomb, you'll be getting even more buffs coming from the Falconer spells. So jumping directly over to Dive Bomb, what you're gonna see is having dancing shadows with the Smoke Bomb allows us to gain tons of multiple strike again with a Shadow Falcon. And this also allows us to stack even more Dusk Shout with the Shadow Falcons while it strikes enemies. As you're gonna see in the demonstrations, we have multiple ways of getting additional buffs. And because we're dual wielding two different weapons, we'll be getting increased stats and also increased damage onto the Dive Bomb by having this particular passive over here. So by creating shadows and also by lowering the cooldowns of falconry spells, we can be having multiple Shadow Falcons that deals tons of damage. And finally, we'll be dealing tons of damage with our falconry, together with a Falcon's Mark to increase damage, higher damage multipliers over here, and also even higher stacking multipliers with critical strike multipliers, together with increased damage and also kill threshold, we can deal tons of damage with our falconry spells. Now briefly going through the passives over here. Will be dual wielding coming from this particular passive, together with additional mobility and also damage reduction. So here as the Blade Dancer, we'll be getting additional ways of dealing more damage with shadows. And in terms of the Marksman, we'll come over here for concentration. Because most of the time monsters don't get to us, and we also have evasion, having concentration means we have even more damage. Finally, in terms of the Falconer spells, we'll be picking additional damage, critical strike multipliers, and also critical chances for the Falcons. So coming over to the gears and also the selection of the stats, you can see the mapping build or the Echo build will have the 3 mountain set. Now do keep in mind guys, you might not have to do exactly like our friend Greenhill over here, who has some very high crafting with 4 legendary potentials. Maybe 3 or 2 is enough as well, and he's comfortably pushing over 3000 corruption. So the mountain set is pretty straightforward. He's also using the red rings, and the red rings are not legendary potentials because those are very expensive. Now in terms of the build, we have mentioned about this previously. You do want to lower your traversal spells cooldowns by using a potion, and this will also provide you with additional cooldown reduction and also additional minion damage. In terms of the weapons, we're dual wielding with this particular unique item, and this allows us to have increased physical damage which can be transferred proportionally onto the Falcon's damage. And this also allows us to have tons of armor shredding potential, and also chance to summon additional minions as we get lower HP. In terms of the second weapon, we're using a katana that gives us additional melee damage, critical strike multipliers, tons of critical chance and also melee damage for the minions, and even more melee damage. Because the proportion of your damage is transferred onto your minions, onto your falcons, this is why we're stacking all the melee damage over here. Now in terms of the gloves, we're using the Ravenous Void. These particular gloves will give us additional void damage reduction, additional physical damage taking as void, and also tons of benefits to damage reduction against the enemies when you have your threshold above the threshold and also below the threshold. These particular gloves also give us additional endurance, which is very good coming from the mountain set. Finally, the relic is pretty straightforward. We'll be getting tons of resistance, some minion damage, dexterity, and even increased critical chance. Now in terms of the idols, we're going very defensive with health and also health percent, together with additional ways of getting some armor and also some health. In terms of the blessings, we're going defensive with void resistance, global critical strike avoidance, armor and also percentage armor, and finally increased mana. Now if we're briefly coming over to the variety set to deal more damage against the boss, you can see that we can use the death rattle to deal more damage and also higher minion critical strike multiplier. And you can be crafting the minion damage onto this one. We'll also be using this particular erase gloves. Now this can be a little harder to achieve, but ideally you want minion throw attack speed and also minion damage. You don't need the defensive stats. As for the rings, you want to have the Tranquil's rings for minion damage, minion critical strike multiplier, throwing attack speed, and also even higher minion damage. And finally for the belt, our friend is using Thorn Stinger, and this allows him to have even more crafted minion damage while gaining higher minion damage with experimental affixes. So coming over to the skull rotation for this Falconer build, right away you can see guys, you are a range burst damage NUKE, and you do want to be spawning and also throwing your traps as much as you can because this will lower your cooldowns. You'll be armor shredding enemies, and together you can use your smoke bomb as a traversal defensive spell. Now because you have enough life gain and also gaining life as you attack enemies, you can be sustaining yourself once you have a high enough HP pool. And you can see even against 3000 corruption, our friend here is very tanky and also very durable. You do want to be spamming your Falconer dive bomb because this allows you to do the most damage AoE. And together with Synchronized Strike to deal even more damage with your clones, you're pretty much one-shotting everything on the map. Now coming over to the fight against the boss, what we're going to see is we do want to land the smoke bomb onto the boss, and together with drinking some potions, sending some zombies, Synchronized Strike to summon the clones, and then dive bomb together with Falconer, that after stacking tons of armor reduction, you will be able to one-shot or two-shot the boss like this within seconds. So I think our friend highest crit is close to 20 million, right? Yeah, over 20 million damage per crit. And the Falcons are striking multiple times because you have shadows, you have additional Falcon passives with Shadow Falcons that deals tons of damage. So this is a very amazing build that deals fast amount of damage before the boss even hits you. Now one thing to highlight, because you're very squishy, notice here, he was able to dodge one of the meteoroid. This is when the smoke bomb comes handy with additional evasion and also shadow the silver shroud that allows you to have even higher dodge rate to guarantee one dodge. Now hopefully you guys enjoyed this particular build guide from Greenhill. Big thank you for him for sharing this one, and also thank you for Slowcast for sharing with me on Discord. Now some of you might have noticed I have been playing a little more Path of Exile, and I am waiting for additional update, a big patch coming from last Epoch. As we get more patch notes and also more changes with last Epoch, I'll be making more guides and also more builds and prepare for the new season to come. So quite excited to see additional new builds with last Epoch, and I'll be looking for more interesting builds for you guys and updating our build guide and also a collection of builds for different classes and also different combinations. So stay tuned guys, I'll be looking forward to make a tier list for last Epoch as well, but I'm also waiting for a big patch notes so the builds won't be out of date. Now if you guys find my videos and also guides helpful and also want to support my passion in making more guides and also more videos for the last Epoch and also more games to come like Path of Exile, please consider joining me on Patreon, and also here I have created my Ko-Fi page. You can also support me directly through donations, but supporting me continuously with one of those memberships will mean a lot for my future updated videos and to become financially sustainable so I can be continuing making videos for you guys and doing what I love the most, and that is to share and also teach our communities as I dive into different games and making more guides for you guys. And as you guys gonna see in the future, I'll have different ranks and also perk advantages and also special events and also special features for members like account reviews, perfecting the build for you guys, and also co-op time play, and also even special future videos for you guys on your special build for different members.